plan things so early that people forget about it and they schedule something else. So I don't subscribe to that. So, anyways, welcome to Orlando. Welcome to Village Inn. This is a great venue. I attend several business meetings, networking and whatnot events in this room each month. And the people here are excellent. The food's good. So please help yourselves. So we're going to go ahead and get this started here. You are at the Libertarian Party of Orange County, Florida's official business meeting for the month of April, in spite of our agenda saying March. We're able to navigate on the fly there. So this is our April meeting, and I do call the meeting to order. Do we have a quorum?
We do.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. So our regular business meeting is at the Orlando Brewing. Been there for many, many years. We recognize that we've been looking for options for venues for a while, and I think this may be the next step for us. So kind of stay tuned if you are someone who likes to participate in our meetings. Kind of pay attention. That may be changing here in the next month. This may end up being our regular venue. Same day, third Tuesdays of the month. Same time, 7 o'clock with a 7:30 start. So, all right. So what do we want to do here? We need to talk about the minutes of last month. What do we do here?
Well, I think first up, we're going to adopt the agenda.
Okay, let's adopt the agenda. Sorry, I'm not the most Robert's Rule Nazi here in the room. We have some of those present. But, we have a motion to adopt the agenda.
I move to adopt the agenda.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, so we have an official agenda now. This just doesn't look like the same format I'm used to looking at here. Quorum, approval, adoption of minutes. So we've had our minutes posted. Greg and Marie do that very well. So you've had an opportunity to, we've all had an opportunity to review the minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we're going to try to expedite the meeting tonight because we do have some guests in the room. We've got some candidates that many that drove a long way to speak with us. So we are going to move over to our LPF Region 9 guest speaker and LP Brevard Chair.
Oh, that's what's wrong.
Okay, well, I know where you're confused by last month's agenda.
Why do I
have last month's agenda?
No, so the start, we had to.
All right. This looks better. All right, so.
Okay, leave the next step would be,
I just remember, Greg, that we talked about maybe changing.
This is the final. Well, we just adopted it, so.
Okay.
That's what it is now.
So we do have a guest speaker, gentleman from Volusia County named Sam Adams. Sam is running for, well, I'll let him introduce himself, but it's quite an honor to have a federal candidate in the room. So if you want to come up and introduce yourself to the room.
Your picture's there in front of the seat, so.
I know. It's an honor to be here. I want to thank the Libertarian Party of Orange County for inviting me to come and speak tonight. My name is Sam Adams. I don't get a discount, so before you ask. No. I'm running for Florida's 6th Congressional District for the United States House of Representatives. It's a pretty large undertaking, and it's pretty exciting. It's a good thing. So I did want to talk a little bit. Got some notes here, and just go over a couple of key points on, I guess, what you'd call my platform. I'm a firm believer that a candidate platform is really just a representation of a set of principles, and it needs to be fluid and malleable because it's really our platform. It's the set of ideals that I have been charged with taking to Washington to represent you as voters. So This is a start. I'm glad to take any kind of notes, feedback, criticisms on it, anytime anyone wants to send them to me, which is easy enough. You can get a hold of me on just about anywhere, so not hard to get a hold of. So the first main point to this platform is fiscal responsibility. And as libertarians, I think we can all agree that that's pretty important. That word gets thrown around a lot and gets acted on very little. So the first segment of that would be to abolish the federal alphabet soup department structure, which is basically the punted organizations that have been drawn up by the legislature in order for them to get to Washington and immediately hit the campaign trail to try and secure the re-election. So as opposed to doing their job and what the legislature was designed to do, which is to debate and write legislation on the laws that govern our land, they have developed this alphabet soup system of departments like the USDA, the EPA, the Department of Education, so on and so forth, all these departments that have been empowered with the ability to regulate not only industries and businesses, but us, the people, and then able to basically charge the legislature with going out and collecting the funds for their appropriations for the tasks that they feel are necessary, but that no voter ever had an opportunity to challenge. So that would be kind of the first component. That includes the IRS. Who here liked doing that a couple days ago? The IRS, in my opinion, is a major violation of not only our founding principles, but every American's Fourth and 19th Amendment rights. It is a strong arm, loaded gun barrel at our heads, and if we don't pay, we go to jail. They rip us away from our families, from our businesses, from our communities, because we didn't pay what they said we should pay. It sounds an awful lot like some guys in white wigs from a couple hundred years ago, and look how that turned out. Not so great. So that would be pretty high on my agenda, first probably 100 days after being elected in Congress, would be to propose legislation. And I'm not naive, I'm a pragmatist. I understand that those are not things that happen overnight. I'm not going to go to DC and put on a cape and save the world. But we have got to get people in office who can propose these things on the floor and bring them to attention and put them on the national stage to get everyone else who's not paying attention to start paying attention. So that would be my first part of fiscal responsibility. The second would be, as a good segue to that, would be to abolish the 16th Amendment and ratify a consumption tax plan. This plan has been talked about for a long time. It's not perfect. No one has ever really gotten it perfect, but it is a step in the right direction. For 150 years of this country, after it was founded, we operated on a system of excise taxes, tariffs, small sales and consumption taxes, small military operation taxes during some of our military affairs, and we did pretty well. Went through several industrial and economic revolutions, and it wasn't until 1910 and then the ratification in 1913 that the government decided that that wasn't enough and we needed to get bigger and start taking a check out everyone's paycheck and making employers into tax collectors for them. So the consumption tax plan is, in my opinion, the easiest way to stifle the expansion of the government and to immediately reduce it. You don't give the government as much money, they can't spend as much money. I mean, I know that they spend more than they get now, but if we cut it in half, some things have to change. It's just a matter of necessity at that point. Which is another good segue into the third point, which is no more deficit spending. No longer will we allow, as the American people, for our government and our legislature to submit and then fund these appropriations that we don't have the money for. $22 trillion staring down on my face and your face. $22 trillion. 96% of federal programs in insolvency. And we're still spending more than we're taking in. And we're not doing anything to make it better. And we keep sending the same people back to Washington who could care less because they are sitting in DC, millionaires, fat and happy, ready to retire and walk away from it with a nest egg that none of us can even imagine. So you know, that has to end. And the only way that that's going to happen is if we demand it and get serious about it. Saying we want to do it, and then sending the same people back to Washington for 9, 10, 11 terms to make careers out of it, it's not feasible anymore. So that is, in a nutshell, my position on how we can be more fiscally responsible. Social liberties, I'm going to touch on this. Well, I'll touch on this in some detail, but this is a really important part of the Libertarian Party. It's not just about small government, less spending. It's also about freedom and the principle of liberty, liberty. And that means that if you are not directly infringing on the rights of someone else, it's really no one else's business what you do. What you do in your life is a consequence that you have to bear. And people should be allowed to suffer those consequences. You cannot just legislate your way into a utopia. It's not the government's job to save me from myself. It's the government's job to protect me from anyone else. And so that touches on a host of different issues. Private issues that have been made wildly public. Private issues that have been taken to the Supreme Court to act as a second or third arm of the executive and legislative branches. These are all things that should be dealt with privately and maybe in some circumstances locally at the municipal level, but we have got to stop wasting time in Washington talking about things that have no constitutional basis for the federal government to be dealing in. Let me be clear. A big part of that is ending the war on drugs. I think everyone in this room is in this room because they can agree with that philosophy.
Amen.
It is a dangerous, ineffective, costly, really ridiculous war that the government is waging against its own people. And I think that point gets left out a lot. And that is that the government declared war against the people of this country for trying to seek alternative medicinal or recreational satisfactions for their own afflictions, whether those be social afflictions or medical afflictions, whatever the case may be. What you put in your body and what you consume to try and improve the quality of your life, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, is your business. And we have got to stop waging war on people who want to live a better life. So I'll leave it at that, and I'll be close to time here. The last part that I'd like to talk about, just briefly, is putting the people first again. And just about every politician campaigns with this idea of, you know, I'm going to put you first. I'm going to go to Washington and fight hard for you. And I'm going to fight for the future generations of our country. And it's very rarely ever the case. And I think it's time that we hold those people accountable for those promises that went unfulfilled for, on average, 24 to 32 years, which is multiple generations. No more claiming that you're going there to help improve the future generations and then spending all of your time repaying IOUs and collecting new ones, right? So we can no longer ignore the catastrophic state of homeostasis in our environment, and we cannot allow these people to continue to just be a revolving door in Washington. We have to start limiting our elected officials and holding them accountable to the promises that they make and firing them above. So that's really all I've got. There's a pretty great deal more that I would love to talk to you about. You can shoot me a message, shoot me an email. I'm easy to find. Facebook, Sam Adams 2020. You can go to my website, adams2020.org. Anywhere you want to find me, you can find me, and we can have a conversation about it.
Questions for any questions?
Suggest that we do the questions in the general Q&A.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll give them an opportunity to answer some questions towards the end.
Yeah. That's
Brother, I just want to speak on behalf of the Libertarian Party of Orange County, thanking you for stepping up for a federal office. I mean, that's no joke, and I would assume that others in the room would thank you. And anybody that wants to learn more about this fine young man, I would hang out afterwards. We've got a social hour and of course a Q&A prior to that. So thanks a lot.
Thanks so much. Thank you guys for having me.
officer reports. We normally do an LPF report in the beginning, and we're gonna.
I figure since we have all the convention speakers, we can speak to the state of the LPF.
So we'll go right
we
to
can
the
skip
chair.
my report.
So for those of you that don't know me, I'm very active in I live in Apopka, which is the second largest city in this county that you're in, which is Orange County. I'm very active with the local legislators there. I'm friends with everyone on our council, and thought about running for city council at one point, but I have influence with all 5 of them. I can talk to all 5 of them. When you're sunshine laws, you don't get to talk to them all. So, but anyways, I'm a regular attendee there. So as a part of my officer report, I always mention that I did attend one of our city council meetings this month. Politics at Apopka is starting to get a little more obvious now. We're creeping into our election cycle. We've got candidates that are going to be, putting their name in the hat. I think our election is early next year. So 'tis the season, and you're starting to see some fun dirt being kind of subliminally thrown while they're up there. So, one of my big pet peeves in Apopka is that we still have a moratorium on medicinal marijuana in Apopka. I was very active in trying to change that a couple years ago, and we almost got it. I know Marie was there, I know some of us were there that night, and it was a 3-2 vote. We were real close. So they decided to keep the moratorium, to renew the moratorium, because at that time they felt they would have been the only municipality locally, and of course, if we have medicinal dispensaries in Apopka, we don't have them everywhere else. We're going to have, stoners just laying out on the road everywhere, all the fear mongering, basically. But coincidentally, right within the next couple of months after we renewed our moratorium, the activists, myself and others, got Orange County to eliminate their moratorium, which was a huge victory for medicinal marijuana in Central Florida, and we have dispensaries now in unincorporated Orange County. But the reason I bring this up is the way it was tabled. Well, it wasn't tabled. They renewed the moratorium in Apopka, but the way it stood, the big thing, according to the council at the time, and we've had some seat changes and a mayor change, the big thing that bothered them, as many of you that are activists know, is this zoning ordinance that the state legislature put down, which is basically medicinal dispensaries have to be considered equal to and the same as pharmacies from a zoning standpoint. And then, we can have pharmacies too close to schools, and we don't want. So that's the type of discussion. So what Apopka did at that meeting where they did renew the moratorium is they pushed onto staff. They said, staff, you need to go and you need to dig into our zoning, and figure out some sort of option that you can bring to the table when we bring this back up for discussion. Okay, so that's where it's sat. And then we got a new mayor. I'm bringing all this up to tell you that I'm a little upset with our mayor, who was not real happy on Orange County Commission when it was clear that it would have been political suicide for him not to vote in favor of removing the moratorium. So it's Brian Nelson, who's our mayor now, and he was my county commissioner at the time. I'm frustrated with Brian. I've known him my whole life. Doesn't want medicinal marijuana in Apopka. So this is an issue that's coming up soon. It's my friend Kyle Becker, who's on the city council, asks staff every time he meets with them, where are we at on this? You're supposed to be bringing something to the council to reconsider this moratorium issue, and what they're doing is they're just avoiding it. So that's something that I'm working with Commissioner Becker behind the scenes to try to, give insight from the Libertarian perspective, anything I can do to advise them, but certainly when that motion, when we get it on the agenda again, and they're avoiding it because they know when they get it on the agenda, they're going to have to deal with it. So my hope is in the next few months that it's on our agenda, and that we will have the moratorium removed in the city of Apopka so that we can have dispensaries. With our ag roots, Apopka has been known for decades as the indoor foliage capital of the world. Why the hell are we afraid of this plant? This is the type of thing that I say to our city council. So I just wanted to touch on that. The other thing I did, I'm a commercial landscape salesman, and we're involved in multiple trade organizations, one of them being the Central Florida Hotel and Lodging Association. So I missed our last month's meeting on a Tuesday because I was in Tallahassee, lobbying with general managers and executives from the resorts and the tourism industry, and we had people from Disney, Hyatt's, all of these types of organizations, and we went out to Tallahassee and met with legislators and spoke on behalf of the industry. They're a pro-market group. I'm not going to be bashful and tell you that the CFHLA and the tourism industry at large in Florida is, libertarian. That would be kind of a fallacy. But having gotten to know, I was on a bus. We met at 5 in the morning. I went up with 30 individuals, 4-hour ride up, 4-hour ride back. So it's funny, you get some opportunity, and they all know that I'm a libertarian, and I had a lot of good conversations. That day was successful enough that they've actually invited me. So May 1st, I will be attending their PAC meeting. So the CFHLA has a PAC that they use, obviously, to gain funds and do the things that they want to do politically. So they're actually considering adding me to this committee, which is intriguing because I wasn't quiet about my libertarianism. So, and how I communicated with them was, when it would come up is I'm an unapologetic capitalist. And so when you're on a bus with a group of business-minded people, I found that was a great segue into libertarian discussions. Clearly, with the tourism tax, and all these fun things that they lobby for, we had some fun conversations based on my opinions of them. So, but it does sound like the group is objective to having they don't seem to want a room full of people that just all think the same. So it's a funny thing for your chairman guys to just keep poking my head. I just keep poking my head behind the curtains of different things. I went up with the Apartment Association a few months ago, far more libertarian organization, very pro-market. Tallahassee, get out of our way, let us do our thing. It's kind of the Apartment Association's mindset, which of course I blended right in with. So I'll be giving you guys updates on, let's not joke, the tourism industry in Florida is a huge force in Tallahassee. So for the good and the bad, probably. So I'm just excited to have an opportunity to learn more about it and see what a libertarian might look like when you drop them in that bucket. So I don't know what that looks like yet. So those are the two main things, just my activism in APOPCA and then some of the things that I'm doing with the trade organization. So that's my report at the moment. Otherwise, we're hoping to do some events as an affiliate here moving forward that will increase our membership. That's our big challenge, honestly. We're all so busy that I'm sure it's not unique to LPOC. All libertarians are busy. We tend to find ourselves lots of things to do. So some of our goals moving forward is to have some events. Moving our meeting here, honestly, I think may be a big key to increasing our membership, because though a lot of libertarians like to sit at Orlando Brewing and drink beer while we have our business meeting, not everybody wants that. Not everybody wants to go to a brewery to sit down and have a meeting with a political party. That's just reality. And if we're not willing to be objective in spite of our desire to have a 5-minute break of the rules so that we can go fill up our classes, that may not be the best marketing thing. So I'll end it at that, and I'll pass the baton to our Vice Chairman.
Thank you, President. Vice Chair. So I met with a person who I'm not going to name his name. I'm trying to get him to come over here and talk to us. He's part of the organization that's trying to organize Preservation Florida on the east side of town, the east side of the county. They are all residents of east of UCF, about Chihuahua, around area, which they got fed up with people trying to determine how they're gonna develop that land. So they got together and they said, okay, we're not anti-growth, we just wanna manage the growth. So right now they're working with Coach P, Placencia, who's the District 50, I think it's Florida.
LPOC.
50, and they're working together to see if they can go ahead and go and incorporate
we
the
got people
village
watching. That's good.
and manage their growth and control their destiny. It's pretty interesting. I know this guy for a few years, so I'm trying to see if we can get him here and see if guest speakers so we can learn more about it and perhaps see how we can, help them out or not help them out. I don't know, but we have to see what they're all about, and it's better to have them in person. And
Is this the group that's trying to incorporate,
correct.
what's the name of the city they're gonna try to, for the town?
Preservation. So, more to come on that. I'm also still working on, translation and also talking to a Creole speaker to translate our brochures into Creole and Spanish. And I wanna look into events that are upcoming to see if we can fill those events or even just kind of walk around with our brochures and grow our platform in those communities as well, which probably are more libertarian than they realize. And gonna be really busy in the next few months. So I got a wedding planned for it, so.
That's right.
Congratulations.
Another one bites the dust. Libertarians intentionally inviting the government into their lives.
Might bring a shame into this one.
You do get to steal less of yourself after that, though.
Yeah, it's true.
All right,
Okay.
Marie?
I'm going to keep it brief tonight. All our paperwork we're in, we're officially re-affiliated. Everything else with our records is up to date. And the next thing I'm gonna be working on, again, is trying to finalize the logo. We had looked at redesigning it. We had a couple options that were getting close, and then we got married. So that kind of derailed finishing that, but that's the next project up, is doing that and updating some of the graphics with that. And I'm going to leave it there, so we got a lot going on in it.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, for the treasurer's report. And my reports are not as exciting as Derek or Pedro's. I'm more of an operational nuts and bolts guy, not a boots on the ground activist type, which is why I'm the treasurer. Since our last business meeting, we've received $122.38 in contributions, expended $52.95. Our current balance at Regions Bank is $3,748.85. We have maintained 4 recurring monthly donors for a total monthly pledge of $102.58. So thank you to the people that have signed up for a monthly pledge. That really helps with budgeting. I'd like to take a moment to say, if you like what we're doing, or even if you don't, you just like for us to see more, please contribute to the party. We'll take cash in the porcupine bowl right there. Make sure you fill out the donation slip so I can report the mandatory information to the government. I can take your credit card on my Square, or you can donate on our website, lporangefl.org. We run entirely off of individual donations, so if you want us to see us do more stuff, that takes more money. Expenditures this month included online donation fees and Facebook social media advertising. In particular, we ran 2 posts advertising the Libertarian Party of Florida convention to people in our area. And that post, I don't know if it'll affect attendance or not, but it's been getting a lot of good exposure on Facebook. I also turned in the 2019 first quarter campaign treasurer's report to the Orange County Supervisor of Elections on time, and it was accepted without issue, so that's always a pleasant letter to get back. And we have the following budget line items currently active that have been approved by the county affiliate. We have $120 allocated towards printing, none of that has been spent yet. We have $300 allocated towards advertising, of which we spent $43.95. We have $500 allocated towards membership events, of which $252.83 has been spent. We have $110 allocated towards mail, and of that, $92 has been spent. And then we also have, for the chair, a $425 authorization for a chair to join the Tiger Bay Club, if and when that makes sense.
And just to piggyback that, my commitment in that discussion was to, if I feel like I could not attend the meetings regularly, I didn't want to spend the money, and that's basically where I'm at on it. But as long as the money's sitting there, I'm in my busy season, so monitor that and give you an update. But I just don't feel like it was a good investment at the moment when I'm canceling events regularly right now. So
So that's all I have for the treasurer's report. Most of the activity that I plan to do above and beyond just the accounting and reports is more as an individual member than as the role of treasurer.
Okay, and I thought of something that I did not mention. Thank you, by the way, Greg and Marie and Pedro for your reports. One other thing that I'm working on, monitoring it, and haven't engaged as directly as I intend to. Who in this room has heard of glyphosate? Who knows what Roundup? Okay. Are you aware that there's activists that are trying to ban it? You banned it in the city of Miami. Okay, and I hear you. But I'm actually in the landscape industry. Okay, and there's an opportunity here, I believe, for a libertarian message to be put in the forefront in this discussion, because the problem with banning it is that now when you take that product off the market, they're going to be using the next best thing, which they have to spray at higher concentrates. It doesn't work as well. I like the heart of the movement, but because the activists don't understand the laws that govern contractors like myself, I don't actually spray anymore. I'm a salesman, but these resorts and HOAs and all these places, they're not going to just be okay with weeds growing up everywhere. Okay, so you take this product off the market that is the best option that we have. Other products are going to be used. And what's very unfortunate, what I want to plant the seed here, because I'd like for any of you guys, if these types of things are going on in your communities, maybe reach out to me and I can send you some more information. But the big problem is that landscapers are not allowed to use anything that hasn't gone through the EPA and has an approved stamp, an approved label on a plastic jug. So all these things that you can do as a homeowner, like put vinegar, you can basically mix vinegar, salt, a little bit of soap, and you can make from your kitchen cabinet an herbicide and walk around in your yard and spray it, right? Okay, well if we try to do that, we lose our license and we get the EPA that comes on us. So it's a more complex problem than people realize. So they're trying to do it in the city of Orlando, so I'm starting to kind of engage this, and what we really want is the EPA to get out of the market. This is the libertarian message. The market wants a better product. I go and speak before homeowners associations, I speak to board members, because you've got this guy, this unfortunate gentleman that the courts have said glyphosate has caused cancer, and there's this huge lawsuit that recently happened, if you don't follow this stuff. So now you get these boards and whatnot that are scared of the liability, so they're asking people like myself in the industry, like what do we do? What's another option? Can we stop using glyphosate on our properties? And what I tell them, and what I think we need to be communicating, is that the market, the consumer, wants something better. We got a lot of people that would be willing to support this new product on the market. Why is the product not on the market? It's because of the EPA and it's because of the federal government. So I just wanted to plant that seed that I think there's a libertarian message that we need to better communicate to some of these activists. So if you're in areas that, like Broward, I'm sure it's coming to you guys next. Now that it's happened in Miami, and it's just another city councils, left-leaning city councils that are sensitive to this type of messaging, that they puff their chests out, they ban this stuff, they get press releases for it, they get in the paper, and what they're actually doing is creating a bigger problem. I think the more that libertarians can get on the front of issues that we have experience in and expertise in, I think the better we may message. So I just wanted to add that. That's another thing that I'm working on. And I have a good relationship with these activists in Orlando that are trying to do that. And I've had a lot of dialogue with them, and I just hope that maybe we can come up with something better than just banning this product. So if you have any questions about that, or you feel like this is something going on in your areas, feel free to ask me, because I've got some resources that I've been putting together that I can forward to you, which you can maybe use in your areas. So, all right, so we're waiving the committee reports this month as a way to try to expedite this this meeting. Looks like we have no old business. Is there any that anybody's forgotten about? Okay. All right, so now that we're on to new business, looks like we've got a couple motions, and I will let Greg and Marie run point on that.
Okay, so I move motion 19009 to amend the bylaws to require motions to state financial impact.
I'll second it.
The full body is, I move to amend the bylaws to insert the following provision as a new section at the end of Article 1. Motions that authorize expenditure of funds shall include a statement of the maximum direct financial liability incurred if the motion were to pass. If the financial liability is unknown or unable to be calculated, then the motion shall include a statement that the financial liability is unknown and therefore unbounded. I do think that it's best practice that if you're having a motion that is having some financial impact, that you've already looked at what the maximum amount can be and that it's very transparent. It doesn't always happen that way. We don't really have that problem here, but this was something that I had moved or will be moving at the upcoming EC meeting on the state level. And I felt that, well, you know, that's probably something good to have in our toolkit here. We know we generally discuss everything beforehand, have an idea of what it's going to cost. But, you know, we may not always be the ones running it, just have it best practice, be part of our rules.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think it's important that our bylaws be in place for if the EC or someone on the EC or members of the EC may have other intentions or other. I mean, it sounds like it's something that should be there for a scenario that we wouldn't want to have occur, right? Is that what we're doing?
And it's not really simple.
I was also going to remind, just as a rule of order, that for all bylaws motions, they require 2 hearings per our Constitution, so this is just the first hearing of this motion. A vote to approve this motion is a vote to put it on next month's agenda.
It's not really as much preventing anything nefarious as much as maybe accidental overspending. So, and also, like on the state level, when I would hear motions that involved a financial impact, it wouldn't be included, and then the first question someone would ask the mover is, well, how much could this potentially cost us? You know, if this is something that's you know, could be reoccurring, or, you know, what is the maximum amount? And it'd be kind of a moment of, well, let me calculate it up, you know, what could it be? I just think it's very transparent to have that in the motion. And then even if you can't calculate it, if you're just saying in the motion that, hey, you know, heads up, we don't know what the maximum amount could be, that would be helpful in people making decisions about motions.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So moved.
Am I recognized, Mr. Chair?
You are recognized, Treasurer.
So I move motion 19010 to amend the bylaws to specify candidate procedures.
A second.
So I have a very lengthy bylaws proposal. Those of you who've worked with me on the state EC are shocked by that, I'm sure. But this came out of the work that we've been doing for the LPF Affiliate Support Committee. One of the actions we undertook as part of that committee was to conduct a review of the statutory requirements on the state party and on county parties. And part of that is just doing a checklist of what needs to be present in our bylaws. And two of the things that need to be present are being addressed in this particular motion. A process for how we decide how to support candidates, and a process for how we make party nominations when required by law. And that typically what that means, the usual scenario for that is if a partisan LPF candidate wins their primary or is unopposed to primary and then withdraws from the race, typically by death, the party is then required to appoint a replacement. It's rare for that to happen in the LPF, but it's certainly happened more than once for the 2 major parties. So this particular proposal is my first offer to the county affiliate of what I think would be good policies for deciding how to support candidates, good safeguards in place for how to do that, and a process for when we need to make these nominations when required by law. So I would like to say this is just the first offer. I expect if people are willing to approve this for a second hearing, and then people review it carefully, and then come back to me with concerns, and we can work together to amend it in whatever way reflects the consensus of the affiliate. Kind of summarizing the highlights of it, it defines a process for endorsing candidates. The process is intended to be easy for registered LPF voters for obvious reasons, as well as for MPA voters, since they're not associated with any party. It's designed to be harder for to endorse candidates who are members of other parties, but still leave it open if that's the will of the affiliate for nonpartisan races. I believe our national party forbids us from making endorsements against other parties in partisan races. It also codifies what's already practiced at the state party level too, which is that you can't make endorsements against libertarian candidates. That if there's a libertarian in the race, you either endorse them or you endorse nobody. It also establishes some ideas, and I will reflect that these are my personal opinions, that I expect the other affiliate members to really review this and work with me to figure out what actually makes sense here of when it's appropriate to use party branding and title for promoting candidates. Try to strike a balance with this to protect the brand of the party while not infringing on the rights of individual members to do whatever they want in their personal time. So,
Basically session 4, correct?
yes. I also proposing, and this is again up for discussion and for possible amendment next month, of codifying the practice we've had in Orange County of never making endorsements for internal party races as an affiliate and never endorsing any libertarian primary. We intentionally chose not to endorse in the 2016 primary for hopefully obvious reasons. And endorsing in internal party races, at least my personal opinion, I think the affiliate has agreed with me on this so far, tends to be just a recipe for infighting and civil war. We stand ready to work with whoever wins any party office. The last thing in there is the process for nominating when required by law, and that one I tried to keep simple in the proposal. Is just that when we're notified by the state that we're required to nominate a replacement, we do so at our next meeting by majority vote, and can nominate anyone who's qualified for the position. So that is the proposal I'm submitting. Again, voting in favor of this is just a vote to hear it again next month and work out any issues that come out of that. I hope that you vote in favor of it.
So this is for candidates running for public office?
Yes.
Specific. All right. Do we have a motion?
We have a motion, we have a second.
And we have a second? Any comment?
We'll call a question.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Carries. All right. So, are there any motions from the floor from LPOC members for consideration? Okay. All right. So we're going to move on. We've got some people from the LPF here to do candidate speeches. So I guess are we going to remove ourselves from the?
No. We need to take a 5-minute break and.
Yeah, so we're gonna take a 5-minute break. Do we do anything with the rules or anything?
I move to recess for 5 minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So we're gonna set it up for the candidates panel.
I've got an idea for you. Are you gonna have a communication report?
No.
All right, then I'll just talk with you. I just realized something. Yeah, bring up Read TV. Watched any of their content. They're primarily libertarian. Have a YouTube presence. And I'm thinking they produce videos but they're not really TV. They're just a channel on YouTube. YouTube just controls what you want to watch. That's really important.
Oh, okay.
I'm thinking, what if we actually had some live programs? Because YouTube also has live streaming features. What if we had a continuous actual Libertarian where videos are constantly being streamed and people can check in?
A little bit of a break?
Hey, finally. We met once before, but never under these circumstances. Good, still waiting on that debate. Just for sport. Don't worry. Actually, I was talking with Sarah about our backgrounds entering the party. I was Libertarian when he was 16. That's impressive.
That way all the people are watching it.
All right.
Yeah, you could leave it on.
That
I
particular
canceled it.
video is in multiple groups. I shared it to like 9 different groups. So like it's why I do that to them and I'm more engagement.
We have all of our units.
Oh, there you go.
That'll be the second part. And then we'll have it long.
Sarah could announce, so you couldn't make the last meeting. You can't have a reputation.
Oh, they're fine.
Have it, I guess, for both of them.
No.
Recent TV, why are they called
At the Michael Pickens episode. Very much so.
Easy, a magazine, then an easy, and now a YouTube channel. But they produce this, they produce that. I'm friends with the guy, I forgot his name, Marshall. I talked about except they take commission. But anyway, since it was posted, it's not a live. But here's my actual offer, here's my register ballot. But if we did have something like that on YouTube, I have computers at my office that I don't really use.
I guess I should have technically read these.
Run those live, and just this meeting here, along with several other meetings, could be run looped, basically, one after the other, playlists. We did that for our product, we saw results, lots of YouTube viewing hours, they measure it in hours, basically. Why don't we do that in now? Basically, any details of the movie. I'm still following once a month.
That is typically how it's done, and then that ballot would be But the dogs, correct, they were, and so on the record bar, other parties.
There's quite a few of us like this.
He was right, though.
Just because they're in the same boat. I know it.
That's good. I
know it. I saw it so I don't know the natural progression.
And also the motion as well. You know, you need a direct experience with the government. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed by the chair. I will suggest that.
That's what I thought.
Everyone's transitioning to a trade program. And I really like the national movement to personalize why people write it.
in my living room, yeah, 15 boxes.
So it's kind of like our own little. So if you become chair, the treasurer will separate from the It does. No, yeah. And by the way, I need to get a really fast to the camera because you're pretty much I got not even doing we're strategic and definitely put them on the map. When you have a bicycle, and that's what people were happy to see. That was
Maria, the coordinator today. So I took a week and Maria's out and she's Southern girl is going to be Maria's assistant. But we're doing
remember what I said? I know. That's why I've been saying
we were sitting down. Right now, she's estimating that we're about, so just like we're going to be drinking. We're probably going to be.
I have that report what's the name?
I'm going to address that. So we're just like I said, we're going to meals. Stuff like top quality trying she's like, you guys don't have the numbers. We need to go premium packages.
But I think we just have to make it different. If we sell 14,000, I guess we're just going to get built for 6.
Actually did a really good. Which honestly, we're right now we're just looking at food and but I'm having an open bar Saturday night. That's we're having a big cash bar during the second portion of Saturday. 2 to 6. Yeah, man. Yeah, this guy's been crashing on my house well, you gotta catch up.
I had a couple drinks before. Steve and I got here early, went to a long weekend.
You guys see that fire?
I'm not going to recommend that. How do I
I've been here early. I got
yeah.
You got here late.
Yeah, I did. Let me go catch up with these.
Yeah.
We'll talk. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Hopefully my battery.
Oh, we still got one person hanging in there. Yeah, where are you looking on battery? Oh man, you don't even know.
Yep, I don't even know where to.
I don't think you can do it without ending the stream.
Well, to say that, that's an idea.
I do have 2 extension cords I brought with me. If we need extension cords. Right?
I'll give that up for
There we go. The battery should cover it.
Yeah, good deal. It's looking good.
Yep. And
Is it yours?
well, that's Marie's, yeah.
That's nice.
So, and if we keep, if we keep doing this venue, and I think we are, we can actually push back on the team.
That's good, dude. You see, man. Yeah. Watch what you say.
Do we have to sign them?
Oh, yeah. I want to be pretty by reason. I'd love to have
She like failed hardcore. She failed
All right, everybody, let's stop. Let's get back organized here. We are gonna have a probably a little awkward chill. Hey guys, let's try to get back on on the schedule here.
One more.
So Pedro is gonna run point on the panel. So Pedro, you wanna go ahead and break down the rules here?
So, here are the rules. The candidate speaking order is going to be randomized at the event for fairness. Each candidate will be given 5 minutes to speak without interruption. Questions will be allowed first from the LPOC members and then from other guests on the floor. Keep questions relevant to the position these fine people are running for, please. And also, it's a 2 limit to only responses from our candidates here to the questions. Any questions from our candidates? Any questions from the floor?
I actually have a question. Were we gonna do all of the speeches first and then a Q&A, or are we gonna do Q&A after each speech?
We're gonna do all the speeches first, and then if you direct your questions to each of the candidates, they just, say their name first, question 4.
And how is the order of the candidates that sit on the panel going?
It is in that man's hat.
Yeah, we are literally gonna draw it from a hat.
So when you're,
Who's doing the draw?
Is the Q&A portion of this event going to be in the format of a panel or individual?
Good question.
you can ask the panel if you want to ask something directly to a candidate. You can, just keep it respectful and relative to their position that they're running for. But you can ask them a direct question.
Yes.
When your name is drawn, if you want to come around and just sit in the next available, we're going to fill this direction. So that way Pedro knows, we can just go in order for speeches that way.
So, you ready to draw the first name?
Yes, sir.
All right, would you like to do the honors? Sure. So our first candidate is Steven Nekhaila for LPF Chair.
All right. Steven? Conspiracy. Beat me to it.
Right away.
Thank you.
So we get to draw them all at once?
Are we drawing them all?
Yeah, where's
Who's
the
next?
hat?
I just want to go ahead and draw them all down.
Yep.
Yeah,
Get them all
Have them all
Speak by
down.
yourself in
Get
the
them in their
corner.
seats.
know.
Yes.
All right, next up.
Hey, right.
It's good
Do the
exercise.
honors. Next up will be Philippe Cadorette, candidate for Rules Committee.
Sweet.
Oh, yeah.
Next up will be Spenser Garber, candidate for LPF Vice-Chair. Next up will be Mark Barfield, candidate for LPF Director At-Large 3.
Yeah.
Next up will be Omar Recuero, candidate for LPF Chair.
All right.
Next up will be Ashley McCoy, candidate for LPF Region 6 rep.
Yeah.
I asked her, she doesn't want to. I didn't.
Okay,
Oh.
the candidate declines, okay.
No.
And then last but not least, Jon-Luc Tesky, candidate for LPF Chair.
Oh, yeah.
We'll start with Steven Nekhaila. You got 5 minutes. Starting.
Excellent. This is good interview. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven Nekhaila, and I just want to thank the Orange County LP for inviting me up here today. I drove up from Key West, the beautiful Conch Republic. Today is Conch Republic Independence Day, where back in 1982, we seceded from the United States to fight an illegal traffic stop just north of the stretch. We were able to remove the traffic block, and which is a great libertarian thing, and yeah, so pretty cool. So I'm running for the chairman of the Libertarian Party of Florida. A little bit about me. I've been a member of the Libertarian Party of Florida for 5 years. I'm also a member of the Libertarian National Committee. I've been a member of the LNC for 3 years now. I'm serving my 2nd term as representative for Florida, Georgia, and Tennessee. I was a Region 14 representative, representing Miami-Dade and Monroe County since 2014. I'm also a founding member of the Libertarian Party of Florida. I served a brief stint as the Director At-Large until I decided to switch over to treasurer to help safeguard the party's assets, which we have successfully done. We were able to go up to the FEC meeting in Tallahassee, me, myself, Dave Salisbury, and Omar, and we successfully won that case. A lot has changed with the Treasury, a lot has changed with how we safeguard the party's assets, so I'm very grateful for that, and to be a part of the party, and I'm thrilled to be part of this movement, to be here with you all with so much passion in your hearts and bellies, and to help move this party forward. Professionally, an entrepreneur by trade, I serve my family's Wendy's franchise. I'm the district manager. We have 8 stores across 2 states. I'm also a franchisee for Dairy Queen. I oversee directly about 100 people in day-to-day operations, and I directly control about $10 million in annual assets. So I have the experience organizationally, executively, in large organizations to get the job done and make things happen. There are a couple of opportunities I see with the Libertarian Party of Florida. Number one is the institutionalization of knowledge. For too many years, we've had people come and go. Good people come, they do their job, they retire, they move out of the state, whatever it is, and the knowledge moves on with them. One thing I desperately want to see within the LPF is a learning management system to catalog this knowledge, to grow this knowledge, to have an onboarding system for candidates, for campaign staff, treasurers, for internal party offices like treasurer and secretary and regional representative. I've met several people, regional representatives, who are new to the position that have no idea what their job is, what they're supposed to be doing, what their goals are. And it's something that a professional organization shouldn't have to deal with. So it's something that I've actually been working on. There's a company called Cornerstone I've been talking with, as well as a few others, to see what opportunities we have to import this kind of system into the LPF. Another opportunity we have in the party is our culture. A part of any successful culture is to obviously bring our members together. We face factionalization, which happens in parties that become dysfunctional culturally. A lot of that comes from the top down, and a lot of that comes because we lack that centrifugal force of libertarianism within the state of Florida. We need to be so centric on our goals, have clearly defined goals that we put not only our committees and our affiliates, set them out to accomplish certain things, but also hold them accountable. One thing I do in my organizations is I set clearly defined goals, I hold my people accountable, and there's going to be problems. We're human beings, we work together, there's going to be conflicts in personality, there's going to be conflicts in when people work together, and those need to be resolved appropriately. The LPF for many years, and the Libertarian Party in general, has often had these conflicts. When you set clearly defined goals, when you become a candidate-centric and an affiliate-centric organization, people tend to work towards those goals more confidently. And this one thing I really want to work on is the culture of the organization. Another thing I really want the LPF to be more single-mindedly working towards is our candidate centricism. We have so many people coming into the party that are ambitious, and like a nuclear bomb, you know, all that energy just kind of explodes and it doesn't really get anywhere. I want us to take that energy like a power plant and put it towards something productive. I want our people to be empowered. I want our affiliates to be empowered. I want to give them the tools and the support that they need to be successful. And I want us to really focus on our mission, which is getting libertarians elected. How do we do that? Well, you know, number one, I think Operation First Step was a success. In 2018, the Libertarian Party of Florida, out of I think 40 or so candidates that were elected during the midterms, the LPF accounted for more than half. We're doing something right. We're doing something successful. We need to build on that. We need to build an ecosystem of candidates that can move up from their first step positions into higher level offices with campaign staff, with treasurers, and with support networks that'll help them move on to the next positions. We need to find our people that are rock stars. We need to put our aces in their places. And we need to develop our people to move up to higher level positions and get them elected. And that should be our main goal.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. So next up,
yes. Okay. So I'm running for the Rules Committee. I am currently the chair. The Rules Committee within the party, for those who don't know, is first and foremost tasked with regulatory compliance so that our treasurers and our chairs stay out of jail. It's very important to us, and so we don't get fined as a party. after that, of course, helping to police the internal documents of the party, and also any sort of affiliate support questions as far as dealing with their supervisor elections. I get a lot of those calls. I also get parliamentary calls all the time. EC motions get referred to us for consideration, especially we've had probably 8 standing rules referred to us this year. And we've also got 4 constitutional amendments and 8 bylaws amendments for this year's delegates to consider at the state party. I've been the chair now for about a year and a half. The way the election works is that you will each write 3 names down on the ballot. The person with the most votes becomes the chair. My personal experience and why I'm so anal retentive, I'm a surgical equipment installer by trade. Attention to detail is very critical in my work there, and I bring it to the position of rules chair, obviously, for those who know and have dealt with me. Thank you.
Spenser, all right. Well, my name is Spenser Garber. I'm a candidate for the LPF Vice-Chair position. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Libertarian Party of Orange County for welcoming me here today. I believe I beat out Steven just by a little bit for longest drive to here today. I'm from Pensacola. Some people might have heard of that as LA, Lower Alabama. I live about 7 miles from the Alabama border, so it's not too far from the truth. I did attend the LP Alabama State Convention, my home, and it was a good time up there, really trying to build just across the state borders there. So a little bit about myself within the party. I joined the Libertarian Party at the age of 18. I'm 22 now. I ran for county commission in my county, and I started a little too late, learned some things and stuff, but I got involved. I joined my local affiliate, became the secretary, soon after became chair. Didn't know what I was doing at the time, disaffiliated, reaffiliated recently, and now I'm the chair again. So it's been a little over a year now that we've done that, and it's been a good experience up there. I have, to get involved with the LPF, I attended the 2018 convention, which was thankfully up in Fort Walton. I probably wouldn't have gone if it wasn't up there. And I became the Region 1 representative for the Libertarian Party of Florida whenever I attended there. So since then, I've become the Director At-Large 1 for the state party, appointed and elected to that position, as well as membership committee chair. I'm a member of the communications committee as well. I've been really involved trying to just build the infrastructure of the party has been a huge goal of mine. I have attended legislative action committee meetings. I've worked closely with communications and membership committee, of course. I've assisted the secretary in many things. I've helped really just all around wherever I can try to help improve the party has been a huge goal of mine. The LPF has just been a huge part of my life the past year. Some things I want to do as vice chair is, of course, increase the infrastructure of the party. There's a lot of, like Steven said, some institutional knowledge that really needs to be retained, whether we have some manuals for committees. Really, there's only a couple of jobs of the vice chair, and that's to be a point of contact for all committees and to take over in meetings or any other duties that the chair can't fulfill at the time. So I've had a lot of focus on committees, really trying to figure out who would be good in certain committees post-convention, where do we want to move forward. Clearly defined goals, of course, is a huge thing. As membership committee chair in the first meeting, we really wanted to figure out, especially with our new CRM, eCanvasser, what we're trying to implement, which hopefully should be functional soon. But they say on their website that their program can increase your membership of whatever organization by 20%. That is a little high, so but we did come up with a clearly defined goal of 10 to 15% growth within the next year. We really hope to, but it's these clearly defined goals that whether you reach them or not is a very good starting point of where committees need to figure out where they want to head in the future. If we're just doing projects and going, hey, you know, we really think that these things would be good, and then we take a few months to get something done, and then here we are a year later, and what progress have we made? We really want to be able to show, here's what this committee's done, here's more than one member that has been active on the committee doing stuff, really keeping on committees, making sure that their members are active, not being afraid to go, hey, you know, these committee members need to do something or we need to replace them. You know, absent members on committees has been a problem. Absent committees have been a problem. And really working towards the structural integrity of the LPF, really understanding that there is, you know, there's a huge battle that we have to fight. And having people that are on committees but aren't doing much isn't helping. So we need to, you know, figure out the way to make sure our committees are doing what they need to do. But with that, I'll go ahead and yield my time.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. My name is J. Mark Barfield. I'm a native Floridian, and I am a libertarian. Thanks to the Libertarian Party of Orange County for inviting me, the chairman who stepped out, Treasurer Peel, Director Peel, and Committee Chairman. I think you're going to hear very similar sentiments from all of us up here, because I think we're all pretty hardworking people, and we're pretty focused on the success of the Libertarian Party, both the Libertarian Party of Florida and its affiliates and its regions. Quickly, a little background. I'm a native Floridian, fifth generation on my mother's side. And except for a brief stint down in Hollywood, I've lived up and down the I-4 corridor all my life, from USF to Volusia County. I see the role of this at-large position as being somewhat twofold. First, continuing the focus of Mr. Peel and focusing on the I-4 corridor and its affiliates in the regions up and down. There's 2 or 3 counties that are unaffiliated. For some of you who know me, I'm working aggressively to get Flagler and Putnam affiliated. I anticipate that this year. And of course, facilitating support to all the county affiliates in the regions up and down the I-4 corridor, which needn't be said to this group. It's probably one of the most important political regions in the entire country, as I-4 tends to swing the state, and the state tends to swing national elections. So this is a very critical region, especially coming up to 2020. On the other side of my duties, as I see them, would be coming from my background in communications, both as a dreaded newspaper reporter, magazine editor with Mr. Cadorette here, and also a civic activist in my community. The important aspect of this is focus on the brand of the Libertarian Party. I believe that Libertarian Party is not well known in the state, even though we say we're the 3rd largest party, but it's actually kind of a distant 3rd. So it'll be my focus in working together with the committees, which you've heard about, and the affiliates to assure that the brand of the Libertarian Party is known when voters go to the voting polls, or the polls. And a real important aspect to me, the seconds that I have left, is committee support. You've already heard this, and you're going to hear it there too. This organization is not fully functional until it has fully functioning committees and well-staffed committees that are doing the work that the affiliates want us to do. So I would challenge everyone sitting here, as I will in Tampa, to join a committee, because only by having thriving working committees can this party be successful. It only takes a few hours a month. It's mostly just phone calls. So please become active, and I'll be there supporting you. With that, I yield. Thank you.
Omar Recuero.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for being here tonight. To the Libertarian Party of Orange County, thank you for inviting us and putting this together. Well, for those of you who are not familiar with who I am, my name is Omar Recuero. I am a resident of Broward County. You actually mentioned it, Hollywood, Florida. In Hollywood, Florida. So it was a 3-hour drive for me to come up here. I've been the vice chair of this party for the last 3 years, and before that I was elected an at-large director. I like to point that out. Before that I was a committee chair, committee member, and before that I just came to my affiliate meetings just like this. So that's how it all started for me, just coming to an affiliate meeting, and affiliates are very important to me. And I'm going to talk about why affiliates are very, very important and what the significance is as to why we need to have more. I've been as active as any member in the state of Florida over the past 6 years. My activism has taken me from South Florida to Tallahassee to Washington, D.C. Now, when I think about it, I've attended 2 national conventions. I've attended numerous libertarian conventions, Libertarian Party conventions, and to go through the checklist of things that I've done, such as run for office before, I've assisted many candidates. I've given money to everybody. I've given money to affiliates around the state of Florida. I've given money to my own affiliate, candidates. I'm a sustaining member of the National Party. The National Party has a brand new committee that I just put together. It's called the Membership Support Committee. It's a 9-person committee, 35 applicants. I was one of the 9 chosen for it. I'm on that committee with the new vice chair of the LMC. He's quite popular these days. So, again, the 5 minutes that we have here, it's not enough time for me to go through the libertarian checklist, because I've checked it several times. I'm running for the seat because we have a lot to do in the coming years. And some people have mentioned it as well. You mentioned it about how I-4 is very important. I look at the state of Florida, and from Duval, that area, Jacksonville, down 95, Daytona, Volusia, cut across I-4, through here, down to Pinellas and Tampa, and that area, we have pretty much the most libertarian in the state. And it's only gonna, I think, in my opinion, I think it's only gonna go up. And so, with the 2020 elections coming, I have to wonder, are we ready for that? There's going to be a lot of growth. There's going to be a lot of interest. We've already talked about it. Some people have talked about it. How are we going to handle that? How are we going to manage that? And I think that it takes someone with the knowledge that I bring to this position, the attention to detail that I bring to this position, the institutional knowledge that I have, being on the executive committee for so many years now, and also traveling around the state of Florida, more so than, with all due respect, anybody on this table, because I would like to get to know more. I want to know more about our members, but more importantly, I want to know about the part of Florida that you call home. Because the challenges that we face in Duval are different than the challenges that we face here in Orange. They're different than the challenges that we face in Dade County, or Broward, or Sarasota, or Hillsborough, going on, and the Panhandle. I didn't forget about you. So 2020 is going to be, and the coming years for the growth of Florida is going to be very important for us, and we have to shore up our infrastructure, and that's something that's already been mentioned. So a lot of us are on the same wavelength here, which is good. I think that we have to get back to the basics. The LPF does some things good, and it doesn't do some things good. So we have to focus on the things we do good, keep improving that, but also look at the things that we do bad, honestly, and look at how we can improve it. Again, with the institutional knowledge that I bring here, from day one, everyone's going to know what their job is, what their role is, and no idea is taboo. It's going to be an open-minded, positive workplace where the best, almost like the free market, the free market of ideas. The best ideas are going to succeed, and then the ideas that don't succeed, we'll work on ways to make them succeed. Good ideas don't require force. we're asking, here's one of the biggest challenges that we face right now. We're asking, and you touched on this Tuesday morning, we're the third largest party, right? But really, we're a distant third party. But I like to sell it. As a chair, you have to sell everything you do like it's gold, okay?
Oh, man.
So you have to tell people, hey, this and that about the Libertarian Party. We're asking Democrats to vote and Republicans to vote for us. Each and every single election, we're asking non-Libertarians to vote for us because we don't have the majority anywhere. We don't have 1% of the total voter registration numbers in any part of the state of Florida, in any county. That has to improve. One of the core pillars of my campaign that I'd like to focus on very much is membership growth and retention. I think we're good at getting them in. The problem is keeping them here. Where are your members? And it's something I'd love to talk to Orange County about as well as we go along through this process. But we have to improve our numbers because asking Republicans and Democrats to vote for us, especially for bigger seats, we have a congressional candidate here, it's tough. Strength lies in the number of your voter base. That's why Republicans will go to where Republicans have numbers and Democrats will go to where Democrats go to have numbers, and they get elected and they're in power. So in order for us to do the things that we want to do, there are things that all connect to each other. So having goals, getting new members, committee work, candidates, it all goes hand in hand. One thing that we do will affect everything else in a positive way. Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Jon-Luc Tesky, and I'm running to be the chair of the Libertarian Party of Florida. I've been active in this party since I was 16 years old. I even pre-registered as a Libertarian when I was 16. It wasn't a candidate that brought me into the party, but podcasts that brought me to the party. It was actually the School Sucks podcast. I've always been a little rebellious and always wanted to rebel against those who tried to inflict their will upon me. And literally on my 18th birthday, I joined my local affiliate in Polk County. I started off as the fundraising director. As fundraising director of the Libertarian Party of Polk County, I've raised over $15,000 for my local affiliate. I then transitioned into multiple different committees. Then I transitioned to being vice chair of my local affiliate, which I've served in that role now for 6 years. I have ran multiple different statewide campaigns. I was the campaign manager for Paul Anthony Stanton. I aided in the campaign of Mayor Martin Sullivan down in Frostproof. And I will have to agree with the other candidates up here that the I-4 corridor is the heart and blood of the Libertarian Party of Florida. Pinellas County has the highest percentage of registered Libertarians. Hillsborough has the highest amount of Libertarians. Polk at one point had the highest amount of elected Libertarians, and we need to build on this momentum. Our eyes and our minds need to be set on the 2020 election. We need to focus on internal turnover. Our turnover rate for committees, for EC members is too high. We need to find out why people are getting burnt out, why they're leaving, why they're joining other parties. We need to have our eyes set on the 2020 election and our nets large. We need to be ambitious. We need to set reasonable goals and accomplish them. I do not believe that Operation First Step was a success. I know that's a controversial point to make, but I think it was a failure that we did not have any statewide candidates in 2016. If our affiliates do not have anyone to get behind, we have nothing to lure people in. All we can sit there and talk to general public about philosophy. We have nothing to inspire them. We're not taking positions on issues. We have nothing to captivate them. We need to focus on statewide candidates. We need to have a functional candidates committee. I would like to see the affiliate outreach committee fully staffed and operational. I think it is a shame that the region that I am from, which was one of the only regions that was fully affiliated, we lost 2 counties. We've lost Fernando and Pasco. We need to reach out back to those counties and focus on re-affiliating them. We need to be able to inspire and maintain our current membership. Our donation numbers have increased, but the amount of donations per person has decreased. We're overtapping our donation base. We need to have more warm bodies, because without warm bodies in this movement, we will die. Yeah, I yield my time.
Thank you very much. anybody from the local affiliate here in Orange County have any questions first?
Name 2 milestones that you would like to reach by the end of your term if you were elected.
So, first,
Everybody?
yeah. Is it-
Anybody who's willing to answer?
All right, so, who wants to answer first?
Go ahead. As I alluded to earlier, the learning management system is so important. I want to get that done within the first 100 days or less. That's something that's very important and something we can build on for the future to institutionalize our knowledge, to actually archive what we know and pass it down. So that's definitely something important and something fundamental that we need to see happen. Other than that, I really want to see the nourishment of an ecosystem of successful libertarian candidates and support. I want to see an ecosystem of libertarian campaign treasurers, libertarian fundraisers, libertarian campaign managers and staff, and of course moving our elected officials upward through the pipeline. So those are 2 major fundamental things that we need to see flourish in the state of Florida. And I definitely think I can accomplish that within a first term.
Who would like to next?
Yeah, I have 2 goals that I would like to see us all accomplish in the next year or 2. A, that when every voter goes into the voting booth, they see the name Libertarian and they actually understand what that stands for. Hopefully there's candidates in every race, but if they see the Libertarian Party affiliation, they actually understand that. Maybe even hopefully look for it. And number 2, I go back to the original tune that we're all singing up here, that see a vibrant and functioning committee structure that actually responds to the affiliates, provides services to the affiliates, and are all on board with supporting our candidates and affiliates. That's my goals. Thank you.
Jon-Luc?
The 2 goals that I would like to set out for the state party and that I do think that I can achieve in one term is definitely some kind of infrastructure set up to reduce turnover. I think we definitely do need an onboarding process. When it comes to members that are being onboarded to the executive committee, we need to have clear, defined roles, especially for the at-large directors. Currently, we don't have a defined role. More so, it's just a role to maintain quorum on the EC and another person to get a vote. I think that the role of the at-large directors need to be more clearly defined. And I think that that is an achievable goal, is to set defined roles and expectations of those who are being onboarded to the current slate of for the executive committee. My second goal, which is lofty, but I would work tirelessly to, I would like to see a full slate of statewide candidates running for U.S. House in 2020. You know, with the upcoming redistricting and with the census coming up, we can get people on the ballot and people who fill out petitions statewide. We need to utilize that and have a game plan fully to our advantage. We need to take advantage of it. We won't have an opportunity like this anytime soon.
Thank you so much. Omar?
I want to ask a question. Is there going to be a time limit for these questions?
Yes, 2 minutes.
Okay. So I have several milestones I'd like to accomplish in the next 2 years as chair. However, one of them is really lofty, and the rest of them kind of go hand in hand. So one of the first ones that's very possible, kind of a medium to long-term goal, is I look at the state and look at all the major highways, I-10, 95, Turnpike, 75, I'm not forgetting I-4, and I think that if one of those major highways runs through your county, it should be affiliated. So we have 67 counties in the state of Florida. I'd like to see 34 of them affiliated. I'm the pro-affiliate, pro-bottom-up candidate in this race. My big goal, very big goal, and this inspiration came to me after visiting the National Party. I've been to Washington, D.C., Alexandria, Virginia, where our headquarters is, and sat down in Wes Benedict's office, the former executive director, and we need a headquarters. And I would like to promote the idea to more affiliates that have a headquarters themselves. Currently, we only have one affiliate that has a headquarters. that is Lee County. So I'd like to see that be something that grows around the state, and I think that we could, I think if one affiliate had the headquarters, we could share that headquarters with them, the LPF could share with them. It's important to have a starting base where people can come to and you can have a face-to-face conversation with them. There's something about interacting with people, and as libertarians, we don't do, we could do better at that, I should say. And then that goes into another goal, which is very possible. The Libertarian Party of Miami-Dade made a commercial once. It was really cool, and I want us to do that as well. I want us to have training videos and more media, basically. And it falls not in line with my headquarters idea. But I think that some of these goals are very possible. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, as rules chair, from the rules committee, my goals are going to be a little bit different than the other gentlemen at this table. I have two priorities for the rules committee. One is an affiliate member bill of rights. That is so that each person in any affiliate knows what their rights are within the affiliate and within the state party. It's one of them. The other goal, and it's really important, is notice compliance. Our party and our state party and all its affiliates needs to get better about proper notice so that we are fulfilling our democratic function. It is not okay for us to put notices, on Facebook and count that as our primary notice. Guys, we would raise holy hell if some city council member said, well, it's in our stored email server, and said that, and so that should be our sufficient notice for raising the taxes 10%, okay? There are statutory requirements involved there. We need to get on that. Thank you.
Yes.
Mine are nice and simple. As I talked about before, committees are extremely important to me, and the institutional knowledge that we need to retain is obviously very important. I'd like to see every committee have some form of manual or some sort of description of what they're doing, their goals, and stuff like that. One thing I definitely plan on doing to track the progress of committees is creating some sort of spreadsheet. I don't know if you've heard, Spencer makes the spreadsheets. But I really like to track what projects committees have done, what projects they're working on, what projects are pending in the future that they could do whenever they feel like they're not doing much. And so that way we can keep them active, keep them on stuff that they're doing. And to have manuals that committee chairs and other members can write up for what they're going to do or what new committee chairs, new committee members need to know whenever they come in. Our governing documents obviously outline what committees do, sort of, in a general sense, but we need to make sure that we get a little more specific with that outside of the governing documents. The other one, I keep it nice and easy. Our affiliates are obviously very important. It's not necessarily the huge job of the vice chair to do that, but I do want to make it a big part of what I do. 3 out of 4 affiliates, or 3 or 4 counties are affiliated in my region under my term as region rep, and I want to expand that. I believe Omar said 34. I had 40 in my head. I really want to see a lot more affiliates come into the party. That's really where we're going to breed more people to join our committees, our executive committee, and stuff like that. Right in the time. Thank you.
Any further questions from LPC? Wayne?
Okay. I'm an issues guy, okay? Been around a long time, and we always talk about running candidates. Nobody shows up for the candidates, they show up for their issues, okay? Right? Everybody here can pretty much tell you is libertarian because they got a hot button something, all right? Other than legalizing pot, okay, what issue do you think that we should run on, okay, to get people to come?
This is a question for the panel, right?
If they want to, I mean, to me, the chair in particular, but anybody else is free to answer too. I mean, I always respect this man. don't want to get drunk talking to him at the convention, man. because you'll have to chew off your arm. But, no, in a good way, yeah. I'm no micro-anarchist, but he almost had to give this one. Anyway.
So we can start, let's be fair, start with
Start with the other matters. What issue other than pot, okay, can we bring to the public to bring?
I'm probably one of the only candidates up here that is straight edge, and that's kind of hard to believe because of the way I look. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot about you, Omar, for a minute. My bad. The weirdos are over here in the corner. But libertarianism does not equate to being a libertine by any stretch of the means. My biggest issues are unilateral free trade and open borders. I firmly believe in the free movement of goods and people, and that is the only thing that is really going to bring about liberty in our lifetime. I don't think that is an idea that will get people into the Libertarian Party, but those would be my biggest issues. I think the drug war, although can be controversial, especially to those who adhere to a lot of paleo-conservative ideals, but I think it is one of the biggest positions. If we want to take a stance on a particular issue, that would be the hot button issue to take an issue on, because now 67% of the American public believe in the support the legalization of marijuana, and we could definitely start casting our line there. But my biggest issues are, like I said, unilateral free trade and the free movement of people.
Omar? Okay, so this is a good question, Wayne. For anyone who's curious, look to learn more about me as we're talking here. My website is online. It's lpfchair.com, upside down, but it's online right now. And one of the things I talk about on my website is issue advocacy. You're right. I've gotten that a lot, and that's why I mentioned traveling around the state to get to know more about where you live, because the issues that affect you, that are important to you, they're kind of regional in the state of Florida. We're kind of a hotbed of different things. Things like the environment. We didn't even talk about this before. Derek mentioned it about stuff that's getting banned left and right. So I live in the beach community in Hollywood. They're already talking about banning plastic bags and the straws. And I guess we'll talk about straws. And all that stuff, right? So we have to provide in Broward County market solutions to these problems. Instead of going around saying ban the EPA or ban this, ban that. I mean, not ban it, but abolish it, because that sets alarms off. We have to present these issues in a way that present the solutions. Whereas in the North, I would think gun control is definitely a big, big thing. We've had Mothers Against, whatever their name is, Mothers Against Gun Sense in Tallahassee. They all wear the same red t-shirts. You can see them from a mile away. That's what we have to be doing more. Issue advocacy is important. We have to work with different organizations that are issue specific, but we have to make sure that the media knows, that the community knows, that the state knows that the Libertarian Party was there.
What's the one?
Well, the one, that's tough. I mean, again, we had gun control passed last year, SB 7026, that's a big one. What's going to sell here in Florida? I guess the bottom line is what sells here. The bottom line, which is taxation. Any issue in regards to money being spent, and the bottom line, money in your pocket, because we still have a lot of senior citizens who live in Florida, or people that want to move to Florida, and they want to move to Florida because it's a cheaper cost of living. So we have to talk about issues in ways that help people save money, basically.
Thank you. So, Spencer?
I don't really have a ton on this. I would say that probably gun rights would be a major issue for us. Florida has, passed, like you said, 726 is a huge thing over the past year that has been passed that has restricted gun rights across the state, including raising ages and everything. As a 22-year-old, I think that does concerns people I know a lot. I think it would really help with a lot of youth outreach. I do think that youth outreach is a huge thing, and I do think that gun rights, especially framed in a way of protecting college students, college-age women, of course, I think could benefit a lot from gun rights. I think that across the state, just an increased message of self-protection, and not necessarily saying I need this gun for hunting or whatever. Really getting into what are the real reasons that you would need a firearm for day-to-day use, that are really the sensible protection that people would need. So I would say probably gun rights. That yield my time.
Steve?
They say Key West is where the weird go pro. I guess I'm just an amateur. As far as policy goes, what does it matter what they think? You know, the chairman is not the dictator. The chairman is a position of accountability. The chairman is the one who's supposed to make stuff happen within the organization.
It's also the voice.
It is also the voice of the organization, yes. But it's up to the candidates to decide what policy items they want to go after. I mean, me personally, I've been debating libertarianism since I was in college. I was a part of Young Americans for Liberty. I chaired my chapter. Every week we'd go out at the table, we'd set it up on campus, and we'd have dialogue with people that agree with us or didn't agree with us for hours and hours on end. I've probably spoken with over 1,000 people, just tabling on campus. So, you know, I have a lot of things that have problems with government. It depends. If there's something, you know, I do want to seek media attention for the party. I do want to represent the party well in the media. So if there is an issue, you know, I would want to obviously speak on behalf of that issue, on behalf of the party. So if there's an issue on gun rights.
Can I give you a quick follow-up to that while he's going? Okay.
So, you know, I believe a lot of things. I'm pro-guns, I'm anti-taxes, I'm yada, yada, yada. Because, you know, I'm a libertarian. I believe in the things libertarian believes in. You know, there's a wide spectrum of beliefs that I have that I believe I share with a lot of people on this panel. It all depends on, you know, the party is going to go in the direction the party is going to go in as far as, you know, what the candidates are really what matters. It's the policy, the individual candidates, the individual races, what their platforms are going to be, what their policy advisors advise them as far as policy. And that's where we need to be candidate-centric, because my job is not to be the candidate. But I will speak on behalf of the party when the need arises and there's an opportunity to put a libertarian message into the public.
Well, I was gonna ask.
Oh, if you have a follow-up question, go ahead.
Oh, no, I hear you guys. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. As many of you know, I'm the author of the press releases for the Libertarian Party of Florida for roughly a year now. Of course, it goes through a screening process, and namely this guy. But yes, I'm the author of a lot of our positions in the state party, which are reviewed by our chairman. Regardless of the issue, whether it's guns or pod or distracted driving, which is about to pass right now, it's all, my message is in our party message has always been personal responsibility. So whether it's guns or pod or whatever it is, of course, as my friend here said, each community has its own specific hot buttons or things that are interested in. But it's my suggestion that your message should always carry the message of personal responsibility. Guns, for example, if I have time. You know, mothers are scared about their kids getting shot up at school or at malls or whatever. We all know that's a negligible, minimal thing that's going to happen. We don't want gun control, as my friend is a leader on. But why don't we suggest what a safe and sane, responsible alternative is to gun control, to enforcement, to taking our guns away? That's the challenge, to demonstrate personal responsibility. Thank you.
Pedro, can I do a quick redress to something that Ian was saying?
Let's get Philip to finish and then we'll come back to you.
Okay.
Okay, I have a totally different answer. Time. Ladies and gentlemen in this room, we are mortal creatures. We are going to one day shuffle off this mortal coil, and that time that we have is finite. How much of your time do you spend working to pay government fees, working to pay your taxes, working to comply with government regulations? This is time you will never get back, you will never see again, that you cannot spend with your friends, your family, or your loved ones. That is what we fight for.
Yeah.
I was just going to say real quickly, and everybody get a chance to read this, to touch on what you said, Wayne. You know, it's hard to pick one issue, so I kind of agree with Steven. but you have here a member of the Legislative Review Committee, and that's why we have a Legislative Action Committee, Legislative Action Committee, and a Vice Chair candidate, so that they are the ones that look at the issue, because it always changes. And to say, this is the thing that we have to fight for this year. So that's all I want to say.
I'll finish up. I don't want to ask any more answers, but I mean, basically the purpose of that question was, okay, that we're not sticking our fingers in the air and getting our issues from, you know, who we think we should be getting them from the public. Either we stand for something or don't. And people don't come into the party, okay, with all due respect, I've been in a long time, for the most part, for their candidates. They come for whatever their hot button issue is, and I think that's, whatever it is, if it's one or it's two, we need to speak up for it, okay, at the state level. That's all I'm saying.
So I'm a hardline libertarian. I do believe that as far as what our candidate's concerned, it's easier to defend a hardline message than it is to defend a moderate, pragmatic message. I don't believe it. You know, so to answer your question,
No problem with that.
Yeah. I personally, you know, when it comes to libertarian policy, you know, I think we got to swing an axe at it. We got to be strong. We have to have. We need to not be afraid to be polarizing. I don't want to be the party everybody's favorite beer. You know, everybody kind of likes Bud Light, but they really love some craft beer. You know, I want to be what people love, what people have emotion towards. I want the party to be the brand of politics. You know, we're talking about an ism here. I want to promote that ism, you know, in its full flesh. I don't want to water down very libertarianism. So maybe more accurately address your point there. You know, from a personal perspective, you know, I do want to see hardline candidates, hardline campaigns when there's points where those issues come up, and if there was a point where I could talk on behalf of the party,
We'll discuss it over here later.
And,
Yeah.
And I think, Jay, Mark, you on one last on
Yeah, I'll
this
make that
subject,
short.
and on to the next
Thank
one.
you for pointing out a member of Legislative Action Committee. The discussions that we have are specific to your concern. What issues can we take on that are, or what positions can we make that are widespread and specifically an invasion of personal rights? Distracted driving is a classic case of why we took this on. In about maybe a week, it will now become a primary offense to talk on a cell phone while you are driving. Not just texting, ladies and gentlemen, talking. It will be a primary offense. If a cop sees you driving by with a cell phone to your mouth, he or she can stop you. These are issues that affect, 99.9% of every single driver in this state. And guess what? Only about 1.0001 of them cause accidents because they're incapable or they're incapable of driving while texting. Personal responsibility. Hold those people responsible. Do not tell the rest of us what to do if we can do it safely. And you know what? If I want to pet my dog or pet my wife or eat a hamburger and I can do this without wrecking, why should I be prevented to do so just because there's some stupid people out there?
Okay.
That is what the Legislative Action Committee is focused on, and that's what we're here about.
So John, we just.
This is going to be real quick. I just want to share a little story of past success that we've had when we focus on a particular issue. I'm going to bring up one, red light cameras. No one likes red light cameras. David Levitt, who was once a very active member of the Libertarian Party and elected to a city council, off the top of my head, I feel bad, I can't remember the name of the city offhand right now.
Longwood, probably.
Huh?
Longwood, I think.
Longwood.
Yeah.
Anyway, he basically had a letter to the editor campaign to get rid of red light cameras in Longwood. And it worked. We can be issue driven and have success and get people into this movement. It's worked, and we should focus on it.
I'm not running for any state position in this room, but I've been up to Tallahassee twice this year with 2 different organizations lobbying, and if I were up there running, the answer I would have given Wayne is housing. We are not on point on the housing conversation. as the third largest political party in the state of Florida, we are missing it right now. I was debating with Anna Escamani last night, who's running point on trying to push rent control legislation. And I talked to her in her office up there when I was with CFHLA, and she explained to me, she said, Derek, we don't actually want rent control. What we're trying to do is we're trying to push the right to the left. So we're going with a hard left goal of rent control. What we want is to the left of what they would have done had we not put that legislation in. So I think the Libertarian Party has an opportunity to hit housing and separate ourselves philosophically from the Republicans and the Democrats. So that's how I would answer that. Just for context, I wanted to throw that out there.
Any other questions from LPOC?
I do have one question for it's primarily for the chair candidates, although others can take a stab at it too if you want. So there's been a lot of talk by multiple candidates, perhaps even all of you, about committees, ensuring the committees are staffed, ensuring the staff on the committees are working. The question after the chair candidates is, have you thought through what methodology you're going to use to find people to make the appointments to these committees? It is at least as the rules are written, it is the chair's duty to make the appointments, and then the executive committee can either confirm or reject those appointments. So I'd like to ask each chair candidate, how will you find people for these committees? And then I guess for the other candidates, what vetting and review process will you use to decide whether the chair's appointments make sense?
So we'll start with Omar.
Okay, so, I briefly touched on this on the website, and I need to go into more detail about it. When, during our previous administrations, not this current one, what we used to do is we communicate. Communication is so important. Actually, I did mention communication on my website. Communication is really important. Me and Steve are officers of the party. We talk every week. Me and Brandon, we talk every week with our secretary. And Marcos, sometimes. So, but when it was myself, Charlotte, Suzanne, and Jane Forrest, we talk a lot. You don't have to like the people who you work with, you just have to have a common moral mind to work with. We also had a CRM at the time, so I'm really hopeful for eCanvasser to be an answer, but I also would like to continue to work with National because I think sharing information and communication is good. Communicating with them is good. Even if we get nothing, we lost nothing. So the way we used to do it was people would come to us, they still do. I get emails all the time about volunteer positions. I want to volunteer for this. I have this skill set. We take the people who have the best skill set for a given committee and we put them there. It's not about friends. It's not about personal relationships or people who supported you during your campaign. It's about who can do the job. I'm willing to appoint people to committees that straight up said bad things about me because I know they can do the job. And I have a big part of this too is having institutional knowledge. Being here as long as I've been here, I know who's good at what. And I've seen people in action, a lot of people that are active in the party in action. So, I have a good mind. I have a good process of which I'm going to use in order to staff our committees, as well as, and the last one I want to say, I'm going to talk my train of thought here, was that bringing people in. If we're bringing people in, then that's how we'll staff the committees. Right now, we're burning people out. We got to bring more people in and put them where their skill set matches. Thanks.
Good answer.
Yeah, to Omar's point, the committee structure is a meritocracy. So we need to find the people that are obviously most qualified to be in those positions as chairman and committee members. For instance, candidate support committees should be staffed by people that are or have been candidates, preferably elected officials, that walk the walk, that have gone through the process, that know the rules, that have things that they can bring to the table because they've lived through it, they've gone through it. And then the rest would obviously be the executive committee members to whatever is required by the bylaws. Same goes with every other committee. They need to be qualified for the role. And how I plan to do that is obviously reach out to the people starting now, see who's interested in those positions, start making plans to accommodate that, speak with people, interview them, talk to them on the phone, and see what their experience is, why they'd be a good candidate, and go through it and make the right decisions at the end. As far as communication is concerned, it's definitely an opportunity. One thing that I have done in the past is brought committee chairs together at meetings and just said let's have the communication chair talk with the fundraising chair. Let's have the membership talk with the IT committee. Where can we have synergy? Is the left hand talking to the right hand? Is the brain talking to the liver? We need everybody to be whole as one, working together. So just having those meetings, having the chairs unite, work together, that's very important. It's extremely fundamental, and it's something that we need to do. Just bring the committee chairs together, make sure there's communication, make sure there's accountability. Goals, they have to be, obviously, when goals are set, we need to hold them accountable. They need to be measurable, they need to be time-driven, they have to be realistic, and they have to be attainable. So, we need to set goals and have our accountability, keep our chairs working together as a whole unit. And obviously the people that are most qualified need to be in those positions. And if there's people that aren't qualified or aren't doing their job, not pulling their own weight, then we need to make decisions at that point.
Thank you. Smart goals, huh? Yes.
Organizing libertarians is very much so like herding cats. I'm sure we've all heard this moniker. We definitely need a process to vet and screen and set proper expectations with individuals that are seeking appointments to our committees and the party. But we can't have a system that is so rigid and bound up by bureaucracy. We must have a streamlined process. I would also like to see the creation of a transitional team. If we're not learning from the prior institutional knowledge, we're losing knowledge. We must be able to retain people and the knowledge moving forward. I would like to see the creation of a transitional team. We must have clear defined goals and expectations of the individuals and a streamlined process to vet and train these individuals in a timely manner.
I did have an answer. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, you're good. To address how committees should be staffed, I did want to say that about a week or two ago, Spenser made a spreadsheet outlining this very thing. As I've said, committees are very important to me. I've made a spreadsheet outlining what the bylaws say committees should be doing, what the ideal members of committees would have experience in. Usually the title of the committee kind of tells you what experience they should have. But anything else than that, and then calling for potential committee members, potential committee chairs. As a committee chair myself, I have some ideas of who should be membership committee chair, and whether I become vice chair or not, even though I'm currently unopposed, you never know what can happen. And whoever wins chair, I do plan on giving this potential committee roster to whoever wins and recommending those people for those positions. I've got a few of them filled out at the moment. It's still a work in progress, but there are some more committee chairs I would like to talk to about who they think would be good for the positions. I think it's important to get people from across the state. I think it's important that you ask every single person, do they want to be on the committee? Do they want to do the work? Can they do the work? Are they interested in the success of the LPF? If the answer is no to any of them, I don't think they're a good fit for a committee. So it's keeping these committees staffed with who wants to be there, who has the experience, who has the ability to be there, and that is currently being grouped.
I'll refer to my previous comments, but vetting and commitment are certainly important, but I believe there's a position on some committee for everyone who wants to serve, and I heartily invite as many people who are willing to show up to the party to join a committee and participate. That's how you keep a thriving committee structure going. Thank you.
Rules Chair is not a member of the EC and has no voice in this.
Any other questions from the LPOC? Which means the Rules Committee is not appointed by the chair, they're elected by all of you.
Yeah, I told them earlier, yes.
Any other questions?
So, I've been in the party for a few years now and intentionally never ran for state positions because honestly I've been navigating, trying to figure out my own identity in the party, and I think that's a process that we have to realize happens. you know, the legislative action is where I'm at. This going up to Tallahassee and exposing myself to that was quite a experience for me. So my question is, what are we doing as a party under any of y'all's leadership to improve and widen the voice of the Libertarian Party of Florida on legislation that's going through Tallahassee and happens every spring? What are we doing to combat that, and how would any of you, I guess it's
Mr. Chair, this is a question for the chair, vice chair, or the whole panel?
I want to know, I know there's a committee chair here, but I want to know under your leadership, if any of you are elected, how you would facilitate maybe stepping it up a notch as the LPF in relation to, I mean, if we can't get people elected per se, we can certainly impact through press releases and all that, the stuff that's going through, whether we're paying attention to it or not, in Tallahassee.
I'll answer and then we'll let the chair candidate say. I thank you, but I'm not the chair of the LAC. We've been brought by lack of participation.
You have a new volunteer.
Life, super. Life happens, we understand that. But when you have a very small committee, when life happens, suddenly the committee deflates. What I would love to do, and I was talking to my friend there before we started, if we had enough members in legislative action, we could actually send a lobbyist to Tallahassee 2, 3, 4 days a month and actually lobby for us. Put them up in a cheap hotel, give them some, some cheap food or whatever, but we can have a presence in Tallahassee. That would be my desire of legislative action, in addition to all the work we're doing.
So Leon County is the county where Tallahassee is located. Leon lost its affiliation status recently, and it is very important to me that we get it back. Each affiliate, as I've talked about before, affiliates are obviously extremely important, but each affiliate has its own goals, right? We all want to grow membership, we all want to get candidates elected. Leon is in the state capital, or Leon is where the state capital is located. So we want an affiliate there, we want more people involved. This is where FSU is as well. There is a huge Students for Liberty chapter there. Students for Liberty doesn't have chapters, thankfully, but we can utilize the youth and colleges across the state for these issues as well. We can get them to the Capitol building. If we have an active Leon affiliate, we can try and get them to be lobbyists for us, so we don't have to send anyone anywhere. They live there, they can go home, sleep in their own beds, maybe do some more lobbying the next day. Who knows? But it's very important that we recognize the potential of affiliates, where they're located, what their purpose can be. And I do think that regrowing the Leon affiliates would be extremely important for getting lobbying the legislature, especially when they're in session, and getting issues out there that the Libertarian Party can be focused on. So
I just joke around because I might move it here, so go to the chairs, I guess. I want to start with Steve, and then come back around.
So that's a great point. What are we doing to increase our lobbying efforts in Tallahassee? I think we have a couple of opportunities. I know that Georgia, they have somebody who's friendly to certain libertarian ideals in Tallahassee, or in their capital, who they kind of use as an avatar to make some things happen. So that is one avenue. That's pretty sympathetic. Obviously, it's not our main, our most preferable option. I do like the idea of affiliating Leon County and getting someone there on the Legislative Action Committee and getting them, front row seats to all the action and putting them in Tallahassee and increasing lobbying efforts there. There's definitely opportunities, and if you're willing to step up, and then there's others who are willing to step up. I know, Chris, you've been around the Capitol a few times.
We randomly bumped into each other, actually.
There you go. Last place you think you see libertarians is Tallahassee, right?
It seems that way, yes.
For now, at least. Yeah. So, yeah, I think there's definitely opportunity there. I'm all ears if there are people that are interested in becoming lobbyists, that are interested in having that volunteer job. I'm sure we can integrate that. I know it's been tossed around, possibly paid lobbying efforts in the future, but if there's those who are willing to serve in that capacity, we should put them in the right place and make it happen.
Jon-Luc?
Yes, I definitely think this particular role is best suited for the Legislative Action Committee. And I think this question can easily tie into the previous question. As the chair's role to oversee appointments, it would be my duty to make sure that we have the most qualified candidates and well as individuals, staff on the Legislative Action Committee. So we need to make sure that we have those who are willing to participate, willing to commit, willing to drive, people who live in Leon County, willing to go up to Tallahassee and really make sure their voice is heard. So it really just comes down to making sure that we have that particular committee well-staffed with those who are willing to make the commitments and sacrifices necessary to make sure the libertarian message is heard in Tallahassee. I know my time.
Okay, so I've talked about this before, about how one issue affects another, and membership growth is one of them, and affiliate support is one of them. I can go through Leon. I love Spencer's idea. We have to get Leon back. That's a great idea, and that's part of the solution. Another part of the solution is, okay, political party also exists, not just to get people elected, but to affect public policy making. So there's many ways, to touch on what they were saying, there are many ways to affect public policy making without getting people elected. Chris, you're a good example of that. I myself as well, because I've lobbied for things and I've also been active in that. I've also been in Tallahassee before. This falls into the role of the chair. The role of the chair really is an administrative one, and going to Tallahassee and speaking on issues or speaking up about things that the Legislative Action Committee might say, hey, this is what we have to fight for, that's the duty of the chair. So I'm going to lead by example, and I've already done that. I've been to Tallahassee before. I went from someone who never went to Tallahassee to someone who goes to Tallahassee on average about 3 times a year. So I will lead the way. I drive a 6-seater SUV. I can bring people with me along the way. So we can do it through voluntary efforts, or we can do it through paid lobbying. But one way or the other, or we could fundraise. This is one of many things, one of many goals that we can, and a milestone that we can set towards it is fundraising. Help us fundraise to send people to Tallahassee. We did it last year when Zach was fighting for 7026. We voluntarily put together, how much money was it, Chris? Like $600? Remember stay there? I don't remember. Oh, Derek was there, right? We put it this way, a lot of people fundraise.
I didn't go up for that, but I think a few $100.
Yeah,
found its way up
we
there.
fundraise to keep one person in Tallahassee fighting 7026. We've done it before and we can do it again. Under my leadership, we will do it again. Thank you.
In the interest of time, we're going to open the questions to the rest of the folks here in the general floor. Do you have any? I don't know. You see,
I got one, I guess, for the chair candidates. I appreciate all the chair candidates being here today. I don't think there's anybody else who's announced they're running for chairs, so to have all 3 candidates here at tremendous sacrifice. I mean, every one of y'all had to drive, some longer than others, but every one of y'all had to drive and you made it, so thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I appreciate that every one of you has a record to stand on. You're not just campaigning for a title. You're not just campaigning to be somebody or to put your name out there. You're campaigning on your record of accomplishments and saying, I can share this with the party because I want to see the party succeed. I don't want to see myself succeed, I want to see the party succeed. So I really appreciate that. My question is affecting legislation, whether it's at Tallahassee or whether it's at the county or whether it's at the municipal level, is probably arguably the biggest chance for success that we have, even over, at this time, I think, even over full slate candidates. I think it is easier for us to affect legislation in multiple areas of the state than it is to field the number of candidates that we need. So, and I think that by doing this, we can intrigue more people to run and be that full set of candidates. That's my personal opinion, but as far as affecting legislation, how do you feel that you should administrate the county affiliates and lead by example or encourage them to become active in their local county? As probably the biggest impact that they can have right in their own backyard.
Questions to the chairs?
To the chair candidates, as the administrators.
So let's start with Jon-Luc.
I really appreciate your question, Chris, very highly. And it is something that I'm personally very passionate about, and something that has happened in my own county, Polk, which I am currently the vice chair of. As you may know, we have 40% of the city council under Libertarian control. With this level of control, we can directly impact policy. We have got rid of a countywide memorandum against the sale of smoke, against the sale of medical marijuana down in Frostproof. We've relaxed housing regulations down in Frostproof, allowing for tiny homes to be built down in Frostproof. These are accomplishments that we can achieve because we have this political clout. But there are other things we can do to drive the conversation. I think as libertarians, especially those who are very seasoned, are very familiar with Carla Howe and her game that she likes to play, Who's Driving? Who's here in this room has heard of Who's Driving? So we can definitely be the centerpiece and drive the conversation. We've done this with gay rights. We've done this with the marijuana debate. We were the first party in 1972 to support marriage equality. We want the government out of your life, your bedroom, and your wallet. And we've always stood on these principles and will continue to do so. And we need to do so unequivocally throughout any part of this particular movement, at the state level, the local level, and the affiliate. And the affiliate has a special, has a particular role.
20 seconds.
20 seconds. Because they're local, they can definitely campaign on local issues and specialize in those. And we delegate those tasks out accordingly.
Omar?
Thank you. Chris, that's a really good question. It's something that I've actually gotten before. And I want to say that there's a couple different ways to answer that question. How to get the affiliates more active and administrate that kind of thing. I'm an example of that. My affiliate got really low, and we got together, and I don't take all the credit for it, but when I left my affiliate, we had $1,000 in the bank account, our own bank account, from 0 to 1,000, our own post office. We were discussing the headquarters, new branding, T-shirts, business cards, a phone number, an email, and 20 plus people coming to the meetings every month in Broward County when I left there. And it was through a lot of my ideas that I pushed, but all of us working together. So we have to give people something to work towards, obviously, but also it requires, okay, so once upon a time, we had a newsletter that went around the LPF. I have to find a copy of it. Macy John used to do it. And as I was in Broward, just living my life, just not understanding how big this party was, not understanding how big a national party was. I would get these newsletters in the email and I would read them. And I really did. They told me about a guy named Jared Rafoni who got elected in Collier County. They told me about a guy named Martin Sullivan that got elected in Polk County. They told me about things that people were doing around the state. So it's little things like that that we need to get back to doing. I talked about the media thing as well. I'd love for us to film a commercial because it's going to show what libertarians are doing. We're doing stuff, but we're not out there showing it. We need to create our own media. What do? What do we talk about all the time? Republicans and Democrats are elected or they're running because we don't like something that they said. Oh, the socialists, oh, the Nazis, oh, this, that. What are libertarians doing? Do you even know? Does anybody here know what libertarians are doing in Broward County? Or that we had a candidate who ran for office in Coral Springs and that's running for office again. I mean, do we know about all our candidates around the state of Florida? Do we know that we have a state senate candidate in Duval? Again, there are things that we can create a friendly competition. There are things that are happening across the state of Florida, and when you see that, I don't have the best ideas. The best ideas come from you guys. That's why I'm so pro-affiliate. If we know what's going on in the neighboring counties, it'll inspire action to be taken by our affiliates, as well as leading by example. Sorry.
Thank you. Steve?
So make sure I understand the question. The question was, as the chair, what would I do to help keep the affiliates active and participating? Is that?
Well, I mean, and I understand it per state law, the affiliates kind of, like a better way of putting it, serve at the will and pleasure of the executive committee.
Right.
That's the very reason why we have to have affiliate autonomy in our governing docs, is to prevent the executive committee from overstepping that, allowed.
So,
As the chief administrator of the executive committee, how do you intend to not force or anything affiliates, but how do you intend to encourage, lead by example? How do you intend to administrate affiliates to do what we arguably could do the most impact for at the county level?
sure. So, a couple different things to answer that question. Number one, there's the relationship between the affiliate and the state party needs to be a team-based relationship. It doesn't need to be if we're the state party, you're the affiliate, you do what we say. It should be this is what we're offering. Are you going to join us? Do you want to be a part of whatever it is we're doing? And there needs to be value in both directions. So that's number one. Number two, if I'm at a state, or if I'm at a local affiliate, I'm not the most important person in that room. The most important person in that room should be the region representative. The region representative is the one who the affiliate's going to be working with. Did you represent the state party? That person really needs to be the most powerful, important person in that room. The chair shouldn't, and mind me, I do want to call up all the affiliate chairs. I do want to have some form of contact with them to see what's going on at the ground level. Because as soon as you become chair, or as soon as you become a head of an organization, there's a bubble, and the bubble starts forming. And all the advisors and all the people, they'll tell you how great everything is and what's going on, and information gets filtered. So, as chair, I do want to hear from the people, on the ground, what exactly is going on, and to see really what's happening. If I have a restaurant I haven't visited in a while, I talk to my GM, hi, how's everything? How's everything going? How's labor? How's food costs? Everything is good, boss, everything is good. And I show up and everything is falling apart, the floors are dirty, customers are unhappy. I look at our feedback is bad, service times are high, and I talk to a crew member and there's issues. So what I'm trying to say is, I definitely want to have a hand in speaking with the affiliate leaders, but I think the main role, the most important person in the room is going to be the region representative.
I just want to follow up on the question.
Okay. 1 minute.
All right, so we've had different success in the past. I know when Fort was part of Region 9, Region 9 still has a Region 9 event where all the local affiliates of that region get together and share ideas. That way we're not recreating the wheel. And if one county affiliate is hosting an event, the county affiliate will reach out to neighboring county affiliates to increase our numbers and presence at an event. And this has done wonders of creating cohesion amongst county affiliates and increased retention rate of affiliates in that particular region, and we definitely need to continue that.
Can I follow up? And one more thing I wanted to add too, I know during Operation First Step, there was a lot of affiliates that felt disenfranchised north of Miami, or especially Central Florida. And
Said it right the first time.
well, north of Miami, there was a lot of disenfranchised candidates. One of the things that I didn't like is I think in I don't know if it was Columbia, it was somewhere in north central Florida, there was a candidate that ran, and the local affiliate didn't even know that that was an Operation First Step candidate. They're like, how can you have a candidate? How do we not connect? So I think it's really important that the state party does not overstep the affiliates. It needs to be a symbiotic relationship. There needs to be value both ways. The state party should be giving, tools like e-canvasser. They need to be giving personnel support. They need to be giving, candidate support. All those different things. But it should not overstep the affiliates. It needs to be an involved process where everybody's at the table and they feel like they're involved.
Want to follow up?
Yeah, I'll just say that the most, there's a saying that says, the individual doesn't exist to make the government better. The government exists to make the individual better. The LPF exists to make the libertarian better. You are the most important people in this room. And I would like to ask all of you to ask whoever's elected chair to hold us accountable. Leadership makes people around them better, and they in turn create other leaders. That's how we're going to inspire more action, more positive action. We're going to create a positive work environment. I've always respected our affiliates, and I will continue to do that as your chair. Thank you.
Any more questions from the floor? I'd like to thank each of you for coming over here to our affiliate. You know, we're happy to have you here. It's been an awesome session. Thank you for taking time to come over here and being here, and look forward to seeing each of you guys here in, what is it, 7 days now? It's something to that effect here in a couple of weeks. Thank you very much. Motion to adjourn.
Always in order.
Not remember for a second.
Motion to adjourn,
So moved.
second? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we will, if you can help, we're gonna move these tables back a little bit real quick. And then I would imagine we can work our way over to Chili's for a beverage.